You know that feeling when you're right on the edge of a breakthrough? Everything is going great, and then it just fizzles out? All your momentum is gone. Well, what if the reason for that has nothing to do with luck or timing? Today, we're getting into a really powerful idea from Wallace D. Wattles about staying on what he called the creative plane. That's the mental space where real, lasting progress actually happens.
I mean, have you ever felt that? You're in the zone, things are clicking into place, and then, bam, you just hit a wall. Suddenly you're second-guessing everything, and that breakthrough that felt so close now seems impossible. Well, Wattles says this almost always comes down to a tiny, subtle shift in your mindset that you might not even notice.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the two mindsets, creative versus competitive. Then, we'll cover three really important disciplines: how to avoid the future worry trap, why you have to guard your speech, and the power of creating value instead of trying to dominate. We'll see how this stuff plays out in the real world, and I'll give you a simple reset practice you can start using today.
Okay, let's start with the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. According to Wattles, pretty much every thought and every action we take comes from one of two places: the creative plane or the competitive plane. This slide really says it all. The competitive mind sees the world as a limited pie. It's all about scarcity, rivalry, and this win-lose mentality where for you to win, someone else has to lose. But the creative mind, it knows that if the pie isn't big enough, you can just go bake a bigger one. It operates from a place of abundance, creation, and collaboration. It's all about creating win-win situations where your success actually adds to the world.
So if the goal is to stay on that awesome creative plane, how do we actually do it? Well, Wattles gives us a few mental disciplines to practice. And the very first one is all about managing where you put your attention and avoiding what we can call the future worry trap.
The name for this trap is perfect: borrowing trouble. It's when you burn up today's energy and focus trying to solve problems that might happen tomorrow or they might not. Here's the thing: today already has enough challenges that require your full attention. When you're stressing about tomorrow, you're literally stealing the energy you need to succeed today.
And this quote just nails the cost of that habit. Charles Spurgeon said, "Our anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow, but only empties today of its strength." Worry is not preparation, it's a resource drain. It paralyzes you from taking the effective action you need to take right now, which is the only thing that actually builds a better tomorrow.
All right, let's move on to the second discipline, which flows right from the first one. It's not just about what you think, it's about what you say out loud. The words you use have incredible power to either build up your creative vision or drag you right back down into that competitive, fearful mindset.
Wattles is so clear about this. He basically says, don't ever speak about yourself or your goals in a downbeat or discouraging way. When you complain about hard times or talk about the possibility of failure, it's like you're rehearsing for a future you don't even want.
You know, this lines up perfectly with the modern psychological idea of rumination. And get this, the word comes from the Latin for chewing the cud. Just like a cow endlessly re-chews its food, when we ruminate and speak negatively, we're just chewing on those same negative thought patterns over and over, making them stronger and harder to escape.
And that brings us to the third discipline, which is arguably the most important of all. It's about your core motivation. Are you trying to create value for everyone involved, or are you secretly trying to get power over other people?
Wattles calls the desire to seek power over others an insidious temptation. That urge to control or to dominate is the signature move of the competitive mind. The second your goal shifts from creating to controlling, you've fallen off the creative plane, and from there, your success is pretty much left to luck and chance.
So what's the alternative? You operate from the creative principle. In every single transaction, you aim to give the other person more in use value than what you're taking from them in cash value. Think about it. If you sell someone a $5 tool that helps them build a $1,000 business, the value they got is way more than the price they paid. That's how every interaction can add something good to the world. And this is why it matters so much. Getting rich the competitive way is like climbing a ladder and then kicking it out from under you so no one else can climb. But as this slide says, getting rich on the creative plane is totally different. You're blazing a trail, showing what's possible, and inspiring others to follow. Your success literally creates more opportunity for everybody.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but let's bring it down to earth. What does this actually look like in our day-to-day lives?
Well, in business, the competitive mind is just obsessed with beating the other guy. The creative mind, though, is focused on creating something so new and so valuable that the competition doesn't even matter anymore.
In your career, the competitive approach is scrambling for one of a few limited jobs. The creative approach is doing your current job so incredibly well that you actually create your next promotion. And in relationships, the competitive mind treats love like a transaction. You give to get. The creative mind just loves freely as an expression of who you are.
Now, knowing all this is one thing, but actually putting it into practice when you're feeling stressed or slipping into that competitive mode, that's a whole different ballgame. So, what can you do in the moment? Here is a super simple reset practice you can use anytime.
It's just 3 quick steps. First, just acknowledge the slip. No judgment. Just notice the thought and say to yourself, oops, I'm on the competitive plane right now. Second, state your vision. Immediately pivot. Remind yourself out loud of the creative outcome you are building. What's the goal here? And third, express gratitude. And I mean really feel it. Feel genuine thankfulness for what you already have and for the vision that's on its way. This little move instantly shifts your entire emotional state from scarcity back to abundance.
So, let's just pull it all together. The big takeaways are simple, but they're incredibly powerful. First, make the choice to operate from that creative, abundant mindset, not the competitive one. Second, pour all of your energy into today's work, not tomorrow's worries. Third, watch your words. Stop rehearsing for failure. And finally, always check your motives. Make sure you're trying to create value for everyone, not just gain power over them.
And that brings us to a final question I want you to take with you. Looking at your own life, your job, a project, maybe even a relationship, what is one specific area where you can intentionally make that shift from a competitive to a creative approach starting this week?
Hey, thanks for exploring this with me. If you're ready to keep this journey going, you can jump straight into episode 11 of our series on the science of getting rich. The entire playlist is right here on our channel. I'll see you over there.